Hi, my name is Alexis Rosado, and I'll be analyzing the movie Moana through the lens of the muted group theory and the accommodation theory. So these theories help us understand how smaller voices can actually assert themselves and how individuals adapt communication to bridge their cultural gaps. Through this analysis, you'll understand how communication can actually empower individuals and encourage inclusivity in both Moana and in our own lives. So the muted group theory explains that marginalized groups, such as women or native cultures, are often excluded from the main forms of communication. These groups must develop alternative ways to express their perspectives. So in Moana, we see this in how Moana challenges her own society's traditions and expectations. So for example, her father repeatedly shuts her down for her desire to explore the reef, emphasizing that the island gives us what we need. However, Moana finds her voice by reconnecting with her ancestors' wayfinding heritage, eventually asserting herself as a leader who saves the narrative for her people. Accommodation theory examines how individuals adjust their communication styles to connect with others across cultural or social divides. So this theory is evident in Moana's relationship with Maui. Initially, Maui dismisses Moana, refers to her as a princess, and just second guesses her leadership. However, Moana uses an approach of assertiveness and humor, as which she confidently states, "I am Moana of Motunui, you will board my boat." So by accommodating Maui's large personality, she earns his respect in partnership, mending their differences to achieve their shared goal. So this analysis also draws on several intercultural communication concepts from the book and the resources provided. So all four of these are provided. Cultural influence, for example, this is the ability of a culture to influence others through the export of its cultural products. So Moana's journey is deeply tied to her Polynesian heritage. This influence is reflected in mythology, music, and language. Songs like We Know the Way incorporate Polynesian languages and celebrate their cultural pride. The second one is social identity theory. This kind of explains how group memberships and social categories that we use to define who we are. So initially, Moana identifies primarily with her island community's expectations, yet she also feels a pull toward a broader ancestral identity. Her desire to explore the ocean represents a conflict between her individual desires and her role in that group. So the third one is the attribution theory. This is the perpetual process by which we observe what people do and then try to figure out how their intent or disposition. So this is really evident in Moana's initial interpretation of Maui's behavior. When Moana first meets Maui, she initially attributes his actions to internal causes. She sees him as just arrogant, selfish, and dismissive, assuming that his actions are driven by his large personality. However, as Moana learns more about Maui's past, she adjusts to her attribution of his actions. So the fourth one is divergence, a communication strategy of insinuating the differences between you and another person. So for example, the relationship between Moana and her father, his authoritative tone and command of traditional clash with Moana's desire to explore and take risk. His communication is stern and controlling, diverging from Moana's more independent, curious, and adventurous approach. So to conclude, muted group theory and accommodation theory help us understand how Moana portrays the empowerment of marginalized voices and the bridging of cultural divides. These theories remind us of the importance of recognizing diverse perspectives and adapting our communication to help understanding and inclusion. This allows us to help appreciate the value of intercultural communication in both storytelling and everyday life.